Hi everyone, so today's lesson is lesson 2 for the Great Kapok tree, and today's lesson is for years 3 and years 4. And what we're looking at today is how this story is set out, okay? So it's a non-fiction text, but it's also a narrative text because it tells the story but gives you facts, okay? Now the type of story this is, it's called a dilemma. A dilemma story, because in this story there is a dilemma. And every story has a start, a middle, and an end. And what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to talk through why this is a dilemma story. And as I'm talking through it, have a think about the story and have a think about what you found out yesterday from answering those questions. So at the start, it's a dilemma story because it's setting up the problem. So in our story, what problem is it setting up? It's setting up the problem that lots of people keep cutting down rainforest trees, and we've got a lot of deforestation, which, as you'll know, means that animals lose their home, and it's a risk for oxygen as well, and all of the other reasons set out in the story, but I don't want to tell you them all. Then in the middle of the story, we have the big event, and they try and solve the problem. Now our story, the Great Kapok tree, is quite nice because we've actually got the animals trying to solve the problem as the man is sleeping. So this is the part we're going to really focus on today for our main activity. Okay, the middle, where the characters are trying to solve the problem by whispering in the man's ear when he's asleep. And then at the end of a dilemma story, what you have is, how did they solve it? So what decision did they make? And then you have a resolution. And in the build up in a dilemma story, you often have a lot of tension, or you'll have a climax where something happens. So think about those words and think about our story. So we're going to focus on understanding the animals and how the animals today pose this dilemma in the story. So listing all of the animals from the story, you choose which ones you want to do on your sheet, and then you think about what did they say to the man asleep to make him think about not chopping that tree down. Okay, so I'll put a picture up now so you'll see what the main activity looks like. So you're choosing your animals and you're choosing and thinking about what those animals said to make the humans stop and think about chopping the trees down. Okay? If you want a recap of the story as well, don't forget to go back to yesterday's lesson. Lesson 1 is when I read the whole story so you can hear all those dilemmas that the animals pose to the man. Okay? So now we're moving on to the challenge, and what I'd like you to think about today is, how does the Kapok tree story compare to other stories you've written? Now I've given you an outline here which is actually quite small on this piece of paper. So what you might want to do, because we've only got A4, is you might want to draw your own on a bigger piece. That's up to you. This is how you would do it. You would put the Great Kapok tree in the middle. You would put other stories that remind you that are either similar to this story or different to this story. It might even be a story that you're reading. So for example, I know that I'm listening to the Magic Faraway tree at the minute, so I would put the Magic Faraway tree here, and then off in these bubbles I would list the things that are the same to do with the Magic Faraway tree, or list the things that are different. And then down here you might choose another story that's totally different that reminds you of this, or it doesn't remind you, and then list the things which are similar or different. When my daughter and Lauren like to do things, we like to do things colour-coded, so you might even want to do similarities underlined in one colour and differences underlined in another colour. And don't forget, if you want to draw one of these big ones on another piece of paper, that's fine, because you can have as many branches as you want then and as many boxes coming off, so you can be quite creative today with this challenge. Enjoy the challenge, and I look forward to seeing some more story ideas so that I can perhaps read some of those stories too. Okay, bye for now.